the Michigan men that stand by what Michigan men is supposed to mean are probably wanting this whole thing cleaned up, wanting this whole situation fumigated. So what you're going to get is you're going to get the people that want to protect the blue wall versus the people that want to purge and cleanse the university. And the people that want to cleanse and purge the university are going to be talking to outside sources to shine more of a light on this to get the rats out of there. So I think it's going to get worse before it gets better, because you are going to get people that want to cleanse and purge this because they care and love their university versus the people that don't want the university to fall off a cliff. So it looks like Kenny Dillingham has said no to Michigan, and I know a lot of Michigan people, at least last night, thought that this was going to be who they ended up getting. I know that I think one of the sports books, I locked it up and took him off the books, so like rightfully so, Michigan fans thought they were getting Dillingham. He was one of the names floated early that makes a lot of sense, right? Like great with quarterbacks, worked quickly, moved quickly, built a program up to a playoff contender very quickly, and I guess made sense, young head coach. I always warn people though, because during these coaching process thing, first of all, he's like Arizona State's like his spot. He went on the record a bunch of times saying like he's not leaving. I know coaches do that. But when a coach that's his alma mater, I believe, does that, it's like, okay, that kind of means something to me. But Michigan people felt like they were going to get him. They felt like either DeBoer or him actually is kind of one of the things that I was realizing. I initially strongly was like, okay, there's no way they're getting either. Now, obviously, like you got to wait till the extension kind of dries on that. But it sounds like Michigan is down to the Kenny Dillingham, DeBoer. Who do you think is the better hire? Kenny Dillingham's Dusty May of football. Kalen DeBoer, Midwest guy, proven winner. This was December 13th at 10:42, because all reports were kind of pointing those two ways. And then this from Chris Kaperman at 12:37. And it looks like Kenny Dillingham is not going to is not going to go to Michigan. Breaking: Kenny Dillingham and Arizona State are close to reaching an agreement on a contract. Amendments that would increase his annual base compensation. Two people familiar with the Sun Devil source discussions have been ongoing for 2 weeks. So it really felt like he was in this negotiation period, and the Michigan job opening up probably just gave Kenny a little bit more leverage. Now, this, this is if it will pause. This is any body language experts care to analyze this. This is Kenny Dillingham walking in today. Thrilled. That's someone who probably just got a 7-figure jump, right? Guys are funny. Pitchfork Peter. Where the Shittigan fans at? I want all the smoke. That's funny. Yeah, I always felt like if Michigan was going to get one of these coaches from like schools that are like not a huge step up, but a slight step up, especially like if it's an alma mater situation, they were going to need to blow somebody away, like make someone the highest paid coach in the sport. And now I know Michigan has a ton of money, but like what were the odds they were going to be willing to make Kenny Dillingham the highest paid in the sport? Yeah, this is Chad, a Michigan fan, just got a fat bump to stay at ASU. Now, obviously, we'll wait for all the details to kind of come out, but it does feel like Kenny Dillingham has said no to Michigan, at least right now. Obviously, these things are pretty close. Michigan people were all in my DMs talking about this is a done deal. Like, we're excited. Speculation: Kenny Dillingham is bringing Sam Leavitt to Michigan would be a major upgrade at quarterback. I agree with this. I know Michigan fans are not going to want to agree with this, and obviously Michigan Meadow does a really good job with a lot of his creator stuff. But people are coming out, not happening tomorrow. I mean, this is all stuff that happened before the news about the extension kind of came out. This is Dan Divjak, right? Imminent breaking news. Kenny Dillingham extended most recently December of 2024 through 2029 at $5.8 million per year. A clause allows for an automatic 1-year extension for up to 10 years each time 6 wins are achieved. Expected extension between Dillingham and ASU to be announced soon, with terms including full 10-plus years guaranteed, as well as an annual salary starting in the $8 to $10 million range. Significant NIL and program funding will be part of the school's commitment made to keep Dillingham home. Disclaimer, as always, I'm not an insider. I just have common sense. And I think Dan Divjak's going to get the last laugh on this one. 7 of your last 10 tweets have been about Kenny Dillingham and Michigan. Odds that Dan is not... oh, geez. Maze God, doesn't understand how agents work. Dillingham is great friends with Josh Pate and JD McKell. Is he great friends or is he industry friends? That's a distinction I think that needs separated. Why would they push for him to be this job if he was only going to cause him problems? He'd win more at Michigan than ASU. He'd get paid more at Michigan than ASU. He'd have more resources at Michigan than ASU. Both guys simply said it would be a great fit and great change, which is true. They also said the same thing about, I mean, honestly, they're doing him a great service by mentioning his name for this job, because like if Kenny Dillingham had been working on extension for weeks and didn't get it done, he may have needed just one more little bit of leverage. And I think the Michigan job opening up gave him a ton of leverage. I think people, if they were more privy to kind of the games that these agents play with like jobs coming up, I think they would kind of understand a little bit more. I mean, with the Penn State thing, like with other jobs, it was like, okay, like you're not going to leave Arizona State for Penn State, especially like given that Penn State looks like they're going to be in a way worse off spot. And maybe he just needed to entertain the Michigan thing amongst like the university for a little bit to get a bump. And if he doesn't end up getting the bump, I can proudly say like that's exactly what that was. So it is interesting. Obviously, like I wondered after the news about Sam Levette happened if we would see Kenny Dillingham go. I did text a couple friends. They said they expect Kenny to stay, and so it looks like that is it looks like that's what happened there. The Michigan Sherrone Moore thing is crazy, and again, it's kind of entering the scope outside of college football, right? This is a CNN article, which nuts that we've moved here, right? Nuts that it's like gotten to this point. Oh, in the past years, the University of Michigan Athletic Department chose not to renew the contract of its men's ice hockey coach. Oof. Investigation found the program had a toxic environment, okay? Suspended its men's head basketball coach, Juwan Howard, after he smacked an opposing assistant coach. Yikes. Wait, what is this article? Sherrone Moore's firing and its shocking aftermath raises tough questions about the culture of Michigan's athletic department. Dude, this is why I was blown away by all the people saying that maybe Ward Manuel should not get fired. Like, they need a full reset. Smacked an opposing assistant coach. All this stuff happening at the same school is crazy. Fired Matt Weiss, co-offensive coordinator. The other co-offensive coordinator was Sherrone Moore. After campus police said he hacked into the accounts of student athletes, mostly women, to steal intimate photos, he pleaded not guilty to federal charges stemming from the incident. Jeez. Investigated Howard for operating then under zero tolerance policy after a staffer filed a Title IX complaint against him following an altercation about playing time for the head coach's son. Jeez. Benched Harbaugh twice during the 2023 National Championship winning season. Self-imposed ban, 3 games. Recruiting violations stemming from COVID, which, whatever. Like, it is what it is. It's not end-all, be-all. Became the epicenter of a sign-stealing scandal that involved a staff member, Connor Stallions, posing in disguise on the sideline during a game involving rival Michigan State. Was handed major NCAA punishments that included 10-year show cause penalty for Harbaugh, fines that could total nearly $30 million, wow, and 4 years probation for the sign stealing. Fired Howard when a game this season without its new football head coach, Sherrone Moore, and he was suspended for his role in the recruiting violations. Moore was expected to be suspended an additional game in 2026 in the wake of the Stallions investigation. Investigated and eventually fired Moore for what the university calls an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. Which begs the simple yet critical question, is what happened with Moore a serious but isolated incident or a symbol of broader cultural problems within the walls of Michigan athletics? I think, honestly, that is why the job is not going to be as attractive to a lot of people. I think, honestly, like, everybody would be smart to avoid Michigan, at least until they kind of feel like they're on more stable ground. Right now, it does feel like kind of the culture is crumbling around itself. And so I'm not sure, like, why a guy like Kenny Dillingham would go over there. And also, like, I still contend that launching 3 different investigations and finding something and holding on to it till after the season, my assumption based on, prominent Michigan media people who said that there was evidence in September after the Oklahoma game. But I think, like, holding on to the information till after the season just to hit that fire button, it's like, it just gives everybody like that get out of jail free card in terms of like a buyout. And also like I don't know how you can maneuver as a college football coach with boosters constantly like looking into you, just personally. Okay. So this also ties into the new investigation that's being launched. Or symbol of broader cultural problem within the walls of Michigan athletics. That is, in essence, what investigators from Washington, D.C. based law firm Jenner and Block are trying to determine. The attorneys initially hired in October following an anonymous tip about Moore, who on Friday was charged with 1 felony and 2 misdemeanors after allegedly breaking into the home of a woman he is said to have relationships with and threatening to harm himself. Okay, but sources with knowledge of the situation say they are also delving into the procedures within the department, something that Domenico Grasso, the university's interim president, alluded to in his letter to the Michigan community. Yeah, that's interim president. I definitely butchered his name. Sorry, guys. Hey, while you're here, make sure you like and sub. We are on the road to 10K. Got a lot of cool stuff coming, and I appreciate you guys, as always. Every comment, every like, every share, it all helps us. So drop a comment, leave a like, share with a friend, and I want to get us back into the video. I encourage anyone with information about this matter to confidentially contact umconcerns@jenner.com. Is that the name of the investigation? Yeah, Jenner. Yep, Jenner. Yeah, this is a mess of messes, I guess, to say the least. I mean, I'm looking at this and again, this is one of those things I just naturally feel like it's going to get worse before it gets better. Sorry, text my mom. My siblings have a play today. I'm really excited to go to. People associated with Michigan athletics have told CNN that they believe there's a cultural problem. Wow. People associated with Michigan athletics have told CNN they believe there's a cultural problem, if not indifference, certainty. People associated with Michigan athletics have told CNN that they believe there is a cultural problem, if not indifference, certainly of arrogance. That's, I think, if people within Michigan athletics are saying this, that I feel like makes me feel vindicated in my whole stance. It's time to retire the Michigan men thing. It's time to go start building it back up. Once things have been torn down, the integrity, the moral high ground, all this stuff doesn't get to keep happening to you, and you don't get to keep saying Michigan men, especially if people within your program feel like there is a level of arrogance. I mean, my mom went to Michigan, and she's disgusted by the reported actions of everything right now, and she's like, no, you got to earn that thing back. It's like when your kid breaks your trust. It's like when someone breaks your trust, they got to earn that back. They don't get to keep walking around calling themselves the most trustworthy in the room when it's no, you just lied. Jeez. They are beyond zealots. They are beyond about protecting the Michigan brand, said one former employee. Beyond it. It's been so damn big for so long, and it permeates the whole place. Wow. If you start to get people from within the program, oh my God, this article is what? I promise I did not write this. The Michigan man mythology. The university has long held itself in high regard both academically and athletically, giving rise to the very idea of Michigan man. The phrase runs deep in the lure of the institution, but gained traction in 1989 when basketball coach Bill Frieder announced he would leave for Arizona State. Wow, there we go. It's like the reverse Kenny Dillingham. Offended that Frieder would abandon his team, then athletic director Bo Schembechler instead handed Frieder his walking papers, declaring that a Michigan man will coach Michigan. I guess I didn't realize this. I guess this is important for my history lesson side of it. Steve Fisher was not geographically a Michigan man. He was raised in Illinois, but he had been on staff for 7 years when Schembechler handed him the reins of the team. Wolverines won their only Hoops national title that year, and ironically, Fisher was later fired after he was implicated in an NCAA investigation involving his players and booster Ed Martin. Would have happened in the SEC would have been just fine. Of the coaches enmeshed in the various scandals dotting the department, in the last few years, most were Michigan men. Ooh, Persona, a Michigan Tech grad, spent 23 years on staff before becoming the ice hockey coach. Howard was part of the Fab Five, Fisher's trend-setting group of young players that went back-to-back national title games. Harbaugh played quarterback for Schembechler, and Stallions coached there for 5 years and Moore for 6, both getting their starts under Harbaugh. It's worth noting, too, that athletic director Ward Manuel, who has been in charge during this spate of scandals, is also, quote-unquote, a Michigan man. He, too, played for Schembechler. In light of everything that's happened, the very notion of a Michigan man is now under fire, with people questioning if the term meant to indicate a successful way of doing things is actually more evidence of an echo chamber. That is my stance. Oh my God, I feel like I did not read this article beforehand. This is an excellently written article, and this is my point. And honestly, this is what me and my mom talked at great length about. Like it's time to get rid of the whole Michigan men thing. Like Tyler said it on the show with me. It's almost becoming more of a derogatory term, and it's like we got to tighten this thing up entirely. The university's response to the recent scandals have been more prove it. Oh my God. Either drawing hard lines in the sand or moving slowly to act on alleged behavior. That is 100% right. And again, this isn't this story, the fact that this is on CNN, it's like breaking the scope naturally of like traditional like who covers college sports. And so this is probably likely a real outsider's look into the sport, because it's like a news story per se and a news piece. And I mean, obviously, like this is an opinion piece more than it is journalism, but it's like a top-down view rather than a bottom-up view. Now, obviously, like the chances are that something like this could be written about a ton of universities, maybe not to this magnitude, given the history of like Michigan scandals the last like couple years. But it's definitely like a holy shit article, and I mean a holy shit piece in terms of like tearing down the very fabric of what we hear every single day as like Michigan men. When, for example, initially faced with evidence of the Stallion sign stealing scandal, the university fought back while critics crowded about Michigan's degradation of the integrity of the game, which is supposed to be part of the Michigan men thing. The university argued in its response to the initial notice of allegations that sign stealing had minimal relevance to the competition. But again, you cannot be a man of like perfect integrity and then break the rules and then claim that, I don't know, it's like any dent to integrity tears the whole thing down. As a man of integrity is like supposed to be the belief. Whatever. And when confronted with recruiting violations stemming from the COVID period, Harbaugh repeatedly lied to investigators, according to the NCAA, despite being shown text messages and even a receipt for a hamburger he ate at breakfast with a recruit. I believe it was George Fitzpatrick, allegedly, was deemed improper recruiting benefit. He denied that he lied, merely saying that he didn't recall being there. Dude, they collected everything. Like, this is a pretty, like, damning... Not damning, but it is wild to see everything kind of fleshed out like this, especially given the fact that, like, you got people like David Cohn talking about, you know, we don't stand for scandal, we're about integrity, you know, all this and that, while, like, literally asking all of his listeners and viewers to ignore this, like, everything that's happened. Similarly, former volunteer coach and ex-Michigan goalie Steve Shields filed a Title IX complaint in 2021, claiming he was fired from his position for filing complaints about Pearsons. That prompted investigators from an outside law firm to conduct an anonymous survey with players and staff for the university's men's hockey team. I didn't know too much about this one. As reported by The Athletic, the players alleged that Pearsons forced them to lie about contact tracing during the pandemic, called a player a Jew, and failed to stop his director of operations from mistreating female staff members. I did not know about this. The summary of the survey was completed on June 8th, 2021. A final report by the law firm completed on May 5th, 2022. The school did not fire Pearsons, merely opted not to renew his contract, announcing the decision in August 2022. Pearsons promised to clear his name and said the accusations would be proved wrong, but no major reveal yet has come. Howard, in the meantime, was fired and suspended by the Big Ten after being involved in a post-game altercation with the Wisconsin assistant coach in 2022. I remember that. That was a crazy day. And told he would abide by zero tolerance policy for future bad behavior. In December 2023, Howard and strength coach John Sanderson had to be separated after arguing about a playing status of Howard's son. Jay Sanderson, who had spent 15 years with the men's basketball team, was reassigned following the skirmish and eventually resigned. Howard, who had been sidelined after treatment for a heart ailment, returned to the bench 3 days after the altercation with Sanderson and was only fired at the conclusion of the season when the Wolverines finished 8-24. That's an important line. That is, again, about kind of the mishandling of things and like, okay, it only matters when you lose. I mean, the Michigan men thing should be pivoted. Honestly, if there is it's going to be fucked up. But the Michigan men thing is literally what Michigan people accuse Ohio State fans and SEC fans of doing. The win no matter what men, right? Because that's what this is. It's like these issues don't matter unless you don't win, which is the growing belief nationally from what I've read about Sherrone Moore. Jeez. Moore incident thrust athletic department into the spotlight. Despite his own one-game suspension, past COVID, blah, blah, blah. Moore was handed a 2-year show cause, blah, blah, blah. Sources say the relationship between the married Moore and his coworker was an open secret, which I think is what everybody's saying. And I think it's silly for Michigan people to say that they had evidence of this. Meanwhile, the whole fucking Joey Velasquez thing is happening. It's like, what the fuck? We're so worried about Joey Velasquez when our athletic department is running an absolute muck. Like the fact that we've got all this stuff about Joey Velasquez and all this stuff about, Ryan Day's brother, this, that, but we don't know shit about you, and we do know about Moore, but it's okay. You can keep coaching young men until the whole thing fucking blows up and he fucking holds a knife to his throat, I guess, allegedly, whatever. Like, holy shit, dude. The married Moore and his coworker was an open secret on campus within the larger sports community for the past 2 years, and of itself, the relationship was not cause for firing. But because the woman reported him, he was, by university policy, required to disclose it. Oh, okay. Per Michigan standard practice guide policies, the obligation to report an intimate relationship rests solely with the supervisor. The obligation to prepare and monitor the management plan rests with the higher administrative authority. Failure to comply with this policy will be subject to sanctions up to and including dismissal from employment. Both, however, denied their relationship, and the university's initial investigation went nowhere, which I think is... I think I have a lot of issue with that I'll probably detail later on. During Moore's Friday arraignment, prosecutor, they're not even going to try it, said that Moore and the woman had been in a relationship for a number of years until she ended it on Monday when Moore responded with a flurry of text and calls. I detailed all this on my other video if you guys want to go look at that. How he was fired raises red flags about the very concerns about how things are being handled at Michigan. A source familiar with the matter. Oh my goodness. Now here's the thing. The Michigan men that stand by what Michigan men is supposed to mean are probably wanting this whole thing cleaned up, wanting this whole situation fumigated. So what you're going to get is you're going to get the people that want to protect the blue wall versus the people that want to purge and cleanse the university. And the people that want to cleanse and purge the university are going to be talking to outside sources to shine more of a light on this to get the rats out of there. So I think it's going to get worse before it gets better, because you are going to get people that want to cleanse and purge this because they care and love their university versus the people that don't want the university to fall off a cliff. And because of that are willing to kind of try to cut around this the easier, quote unquote, way, the way that's easiest for public perception. And I think that divide is why you're going to get so drastically this way and so drastically this way. You're going to get a world where there's so much crumbling and self-destruction on both sides because one side wants it purged, the other side wants it to remain like an advertisement style of things and wants to keep, making the fan base believe in them. Because right now, the only people that are locked in rooting with Michigan are the true fanatics that are a part of the blue wall. And so the people that don't want this whole thing to blow up because they don't think it needs a cleanse are going to continue to try to give that group of people things because that group of people will be loud. Meanwhile, people that want the cleanse are going to be feeding outside news sources. And I firmly believe like that's why people like Spiro were able to get this, because they sensed a protection element within the insides of the Michigan wall. So you have to almost go outside to start the teardown. And you need someone who's like almost an enemy of the program to do so. So that is why I think these leaks are happening. Because when people that, because here we go, for Cone, for example, was given this information and sat on it and was told there was evidence from someone who is tied with the program, right? He said that. He said that, not me. He's more interested in protecting the university and protecting the university optically, right? So he's not going to do anything with that information. So if that same person wants something to be done because he's being stonewalled by people with inside the university, it's like, okay, people like Cone won't do anything. Michigan media won't do anything. I need to go outside. And that is literally how people on the outside get all this information. That's how people on the outside, how they get scooped on this kind of thing, because there is an internal divide on how to fix and cleanse this. My thoughts. Source familiar with the matter said that Ward Manual dismissed Moore without anyone from human resources present, and while that is not required, it is standard behavior at most companies. Manuel's future is now in question, with sources familiar to the matter told CNN the university's board of regents hold a call on Thursday, but I thought they said that the plan is to keep him. Regardless, Moore's dismissal unlocked a chain of dangerous, frightening events this week. Prosecutors allege upon being fired, Moore broken out. We already did all that. So that's the end of the article. So we're at a really, really unique place. But long story short, I think the Michigan men thing, this is Dana O'Neill 8 hours ago. Jeez. Yeah, just looking at the Dana O'Neill thing. Worked for previous stops at Philadelphia Daily, ESPN, and The Athletic. Yeah. Hey, look, make sure you like and sub. I got another video likely coming tomorrow or tonight. It'll likely have no Sherrone Moore stuff because I do have a lot of cultural things that I want to catch up on. Make sure you like and sub, and I'll talk to you guys soon.